Welcome back, Statliners, to another episode of Bats and Stats, presented by ScoutTheStatline.com. I am, as always, Brian, my compadre, Ross R. Jensen, and tonight we're going to bring you a new episode. And it just touched on some things before we get into the off season of fantasy baseball, because obviously we still have a lot of baseball left. Playoffs are starting on Saturday. We did have the playoff game series thing that has already happened, and we a bunch of sweeps already happened. But before we get a little bit too in depth into that, we got beers. Some beers.
Beers.
We're gonna drink some beers because that's what we do. We drink beers and we talk baseball.
Beers and baseball.
That's in stats. Beers and baseball. What's better in life than beers and baseball and bats and stats?
I don't know, man. I think that's it. That's the pinnacle. That's the peak.
I can't name one.
Yeah,
no, I can't. So what I got tonight, I'm very lame tonight. Once again, health issues and whatnot. Really busy into different things. But for you guys tonight, I've already killed one, but a 6-pack of Coors Light.
Alrighty. All right.
Hey, the mountains are cold.
You're still chasing that sponsorship.
I'm going to get it.
We're going to get it. Okay, well, this is going to be support for you then.
Hey, okay. Well, then here, have this. Coors Light. Go get them.
Go get them.
Go get them.
All right. All right. Okay, so this is in support of your mission here, because this is Blue Moon, and you've done this on a pod before. And I'm super lame like you tonight, and usually I go with something a little swankier, kind of expensive. But I was so taken by this can. You see that?
Baseball season. Even Blue Moon's on board.
Brewed by baseball. Brewed by baseball. And I was like, dude, I gotta get that. In celebration of the 2023 season, I gotta get it. I just got it. So I'm going to do the Blue Moon. And, you can't have a Blue Moon without an orange. And I put an entire mini orange on there instead of just a slice. So here we go. Blue Moon. Everybody knows what Blue Moon tastes like. It's a Belgian white. Okay, so I just I botched my pour. So I'm going to drink this through the foam.
Nice. Get through it. Get through the foam.
I'm going to burp a lot. Okay. Very standard, but it's a good Belgian white.
So when I presented it to the Statliners, do you remember it being better? Like back in the college days, like Blue Moon was a staple. Right?
Yeah, I loved it. Loved it back then. But, I think back then it's like you're just getting, for me, I can't speak, I don't want to speak for you, Brian, or anyone else, but for me, I was just getting my feet wet on different flavors of beer and any alcohol because, was experimenting with stuff and alcohol, nothing else. And yeah, it was like it's like an easy drinker that's a little different than just a regular lager. So I just think it was unique at that time and place sort of thing.
It's true.
Now I've gotten older and it's like your tastes evolve. And I think there is something too, there being like kind of a standard route that people tend to go when it's like your beer palate is changing over the course of your life. And so I think it's fairly natural. But yeah, it did seem like it was awesome back in the day.
And I think I could put a pie chart together. Or maybe not a pie chart, a line chart of how this goes. But like we all start at like Busch Light or Keystone Light. And then we kind of like
some of that is just because we're so broke that like that's the
right.
That's
but it's like a Busch Light or Keystone Light, and then like okay, well we need to step up our games, and we get into Bud Lights and the Coors Lights and Miller Lights, and then it probably trails off again, and you get into some Rainiers and some Schmitz, and then all of a sudden you find some liquor and you're like, okay, I'll try some Jose and then some Jack Daniels. And then it's like, now I need to go back to beer, but I'm broke. So you're just going to get the white label beer and drink some hams and drink that. And like it dips down again. It's like, oh my God, that's terrible. And then you're reaching like your 25-year-old. And it's like, okay, well, let's try some IPAs. And then you dip real high and you're really figuring out a flavor profile at that point. And then you kind of come back down to domestics because you're like, oh, I don't know, I experimented, that was fine,
Well, then
whatever.
you start gaining weight or something, like, oh, maybe the light beer isn't so bad.
Right.
Remember, I had this theory. I was like, you know what? I'm not drinking light beers anymore.
Yeah.
Like, I had like calculated the calorie to alcohol benefit, and I was like, I don't, the benefit isn't great enough. And then I started gaining weight, and I was like, okay, I get it now. I'm okay with drinking the light beers.
Yeah. But then, and then you find this bubble, like right around your 30, about 30 years old. You've done your line chart, you're bouncing all over the place, and then you find this bubble. And then whether it be whiskey, whether it be tequila, I like tequila. I really have. You ever had real tequila? Like that shit is good.
I have had real tequila. I've had.
And don't give me, oh, I had some Jose Cuervo Platinum. No, you
No,
didn't. That's not tequila. Like some good tequilas, good stuff, or vodkas or whiskeys, whatever you go into. You have this bubble that you sit in, and it's just little tiny peaks and valleys of your alcoholism that I have. Um, Mine is Coors Light, and then Spike with like some IPAs and stuff like that. I need to build a pie or a line chart for this. This is going to be fun.
it's funny you describe it as a line chart, but what you were, or you called it a line chart, but what it looked like you were describing was like a roller coaster to me.
Isn't that what a line chart is? Is a roller coaster of funness?
Or no, man.
Like we did it with Bitcoin and everything, just here we go. It's a roller coaster, baby. really, really went off the rails. Speaking of roller
Off the
coaster, we just went
rails.
off the rails.
It's in my profile. So hey, I'm a little under the weather, so I'm hoping that this beer helps kick it out of my system. But I'm not bad. A little cold or something. Something snuck up on me. But
4 more of those blue moons, and you're gonna be just fine.
yeah,
Wake up tomorrow morning, CEO of a company. It's gonna be great.
yeah. I don't know. We'll see. Either that, or I'll just feel like awful.
Yeah.
They got those
So
old wives' tales though. You drink some whiskey before bed or something like that, and it's supposed to knock out your cold,
absolutely,
help you
I've,
sleep.
I've lived and died by that old wives' tale.
Yeah. I don't keep whiskey at my house, so that's not going to be in the cards. But
Yeah, blue moon's the same thing. We'll get there. So before we get into anything, I want to give a little fantasy baseball season's over, right? We all know that. We all know what happened. I hope you guys did very well in your leagues with hopefully with a little bit of our advice. Um, but the applause is to Ross. And in our hometown league, he ended up winning the league. He had the best record of all time. So I can see him up there gloating. He's smiling from ear to ear. There goes his cold, fellas. It's gone now.
I feel
Um,
great.
yeah, I'm sure you do. Fantastic season. Um, and I hope with everything, because a lot of his team is a lot of what we've talked about through the season. Very high profile players. We have Corbin Carroll, Vladimir Guerrero. Very young guys. And that's another thing about his team. He's very, very young. And
Evan
not a
Carter
whole
sitting
lot.
in my minors, he didn't even get to play in that championship round, and he was killing it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Goodness, awesome.
Alejandro Kirk. I mean, he didn't get a lot of PT this year, but I mean, moving forward, he's going to get a lot more. Um,
Yeah.
these are the bases of what we talk about at scoutthestatline.com. is these kinds of players, and that's how Ross has built a record holder in a 14-year-old fantasy dynasty baseball league. And I'm telling you guys, it is brutally competitive, and he's built a monster again. And within 5 years,
No,
six
it's
years,
been a while. I think it's six, seven,
it's
maybe 8 years. It's been a while.
oh, okay.
No,
So he is a little bit deeper than I thought he was, but that's what we're trying to bring to you guys, so you can have a little bit more of a championship caliber squad on your side. And he did a great things in 8 years, and to bring a record breaking season in 8 years in this league had to have been brutally tough.
at this point, I mean, it's so mature, and the competition level is
Yeah.
growing so exponentially. I mean, if you were setting that record in the first few years, it makes a little more sense because it was easier, you know. I will say a few words because I'm really proud of this. And I said this on Twitter, and I want to reiterate it. Like, this league is what I live and breathe for,
Yeah.
you know? So getting back,
I mean, let
to
me
the
stop
top,
you. Let me stop you for 1 second. Is this league not the reason that we're sitting here right now?
it is.
It is for
100%.
me.
Well, 100%. And I will say that this without a doubt, without that league existing, Scout the Stat Line as we know it would not exist, because it was because of that league and what I was so interested in finding out, like looking for these players and what am I looking for? Like dialing in that profile, figuring out what it is, what factors there are at play, and then, eventually thinking I think I can help people with this because I've been pretty good at it. And that kind of evolved to the Dynasty Guru for me, just whatever. Maybe I'll write an article every now and then, meeting Jordan, who's doing a lot of the same kind of stuff. And then boom, all of a sudden we have this thing, it's got legs, it's got wings, and it's taken on a life of its own. So I want to talk a little bit more about STS and what we've accomplished this year too, but I do want to say some words about getting to the top, because it was grueling. And for context, this is a league where I'd built a powerhouse team a decade ago, and they were kind of the terror of the league for a number of years, half a decade at least. They were title winners, and I gave them up to start a new team and ended up starting this team from scratch. So that's why it took me so long. But to get back there, I mean, I feel so proud. And I'm not the type that takes, I'm a rebuilder, right? Like I take a squad and it's like, I'm building it my way. I'm getting my guys, they're homegrown, and they're going to be awesome. But it takes a while, Yeah. I'm not going to load up on stars right away. And we've seen some other people in our league that are more successful with that strategy. It's just not mine. So to claw my way back to the top feels like a feat. And we did it in style this year. I mean, we didn't lose a single matchup. We set the record for win percent. I mean, and I got to do it my way. And that's what I love about it, because the style of play in the league is so competitive, and playing matchups and different things. And I didn't have to do that. I just put my guys out there because I had built up such a good group of guys. It didn't matter. It didn't matter what the matchups were because they were still able to win, So I'm really proud of it. I'm happy about it. And I think we probably should transition this to Scout the Stat Line and the accomplishments we've had there too, because there have been equally tremendous accomplishments by Scout the Stat Line, the brand and the website, the project, whatever we want to call it, this thing that we're working on together. And I guess I'd written some of this stuff down, and some of this has to do with you, Brian, but I had tweeted about it. this is even a little dated, and Ryan has been on fire writing more articles. It's like he's got
unbelievable job. Unbelievable job. Ryan Felix Fernandez.
Yeah, he's wonderful.
Yeah.
Anyway, this this number is higher now, but we wrote 111 articles, and those aren't like just little blurbs. Those are like full-fledged articles, and some of them are a lot of words. That last one, that last aggregate piece that Ryan had written, I mean, it's significant. It's not just a small little write-up on some player.
We're talking about a screenwrite for a play.
Right. Yep. Easily could be. I mean, he called it prospect pulp fiction, and it has like a pulp fiction sort of riff to it. It feels like you're in those scenes for sure. Okay, so next on the list, we had over 150,000 people visit the website. 150,000 people. And maybe that's not a lot to the big dogs out there. They might get that on a monthly basis, but that's huge for us, considering where we came from, which was nothing, no reputation, nothing. Just going back to last year, we started getting some popularity last year, and we were just doing everything for free. So that was cool. But I mean, going back 2 years ago when we first launched the website, late August, I think, there wasn't a lot of time for people to really get invested in it. But we were getting like, a couple hundred people, and we were happy about that. So to see the exponential growth has been just a pleasure. And they account for hundreds of thousands of page views as well. We had over 400 members, people sign up. Still a small amount. We're still a small operation, but that's awesome. Again, starting from zero. Countless leaderboard updates. Countless. Like I got to stress this. Every day I was updating, I think, 12 leaderboards on a daily basis. And right now that takes work. It's not just like a push a button sort of thing and it's done. I hope by next year it is, or even better than that, but we're not there yet. I mean, I was doing 12 of those a day, and then, more leaderboards than that on a periodic basis. So I think I calculated it out, and it's like, 1,800 leaderboard updates or something. That's just Scout the Statline stuff. We got Bags, we got Diggs, we got Prospect Larceny. We got all these other guys that are updating their stuff regularly too. So just insane amounts of content that's refreshed every day. And people want to sort of minimize that. I've heard some people minimize that, like, oh, it's so easy. And it's like, it's not. That's a lot of work. It's a lot of dedication. It was hard. And I'm not just saying that just so you guys think that I was working hard. It was hard. Let's see, what else? 25 podcasts. And this is me and you, Brian. Bats and Stats, 25 podcasts.
It is a minute amount of what I want to accomplish, and I apologize for that. A lot of things going on around my world, and I need to build a better way to communicate with you guys, because I do love doing it. I love doing this. I'd love to have more guests. So by all means, I want to give you guys more if you'll have me.
Hey, I'm super proud of it. 25 podcasts is great. Now, this is episode number 14, 2023 14. But we also were doing episodes this season that we were calling 2022 episodes during ranking season. So we did more than that for this season as well. 113 digital player evals. That's related to our works as well. That was all preseason stuff. Mm-hmm. Tons of work there. And that was all a part of the podcast too. But then we sliced them up and released them individually so people could hunt down the specific players that they're interested in. 90 player highlights. So part of our membership suite is we want to be able to write about these guys that we think you should be paying attention to. So we pushed out 90 of these throughout the year. 45 digital shorts. That was Tom Trudeau's work. Dozens of new tools and leaderboards, which included a bunch of new partnerships. Prospect Larceny, Pitcher Digs, that Hobby Advantage tool. We partnered with a couple very smart people to get that built. Yearly predictions, the formulated consensus. We brought in Pars List, love their stuff too, and we were able to put together a formulated consensus. Really cool. I reference that all the time. Call up indicator, tilt value with Prospect Tilt's pitching rankings, really good stuff. Staff rankings. There was just a litany of accomplishments from Scout the Statline this year. And I am so proud of it. And it's like, it takes everybody. It takes you on the podcast side, it takes Ryan on the writing side, and it takes Tom, and it takes all these guys, Joe, Ryan E, like all of these guys. It takes all of their effort because, I can't do this alone. And I know that for a fact. Jordan can't do this alone. Nobody can do it alone. It takes a village. And I would be remiss not to mention the community too. These are the people that maybe aren't directly involved. They're not writing articles, but the contributions that other people have made on Twitter and on Discord and all these other places, the formulated consensus, which we're trying to build for this upcoming season, that stuff is so invaluable. And it means a lot to me. So the thanks goes to all of you. So thank you for helping make us what we are. And I also
well played.
Also sorry, this is all very from the heart sort of stuff.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
I also want to talk about some of the stuff we've got coming up this off season, just so people know, especially those of you who are members or considering being a member. There's benefits to sticking around this off season too. The first big one, and this doesn't even apply to members, this is going to be free, is that formulated consensus. We're going to try to get the largest public consensus rankings going, as big as we can. It's a lot of work to rank prospects. So we have about 6 people committed right now, and about half of them have their lists in. I'd like to get some more in before we push this out, because you need more to have a great consensus. So if you're interested, please reach out, and we'll get you in there. You can be a part of this. That's part of that community. We're going to release a digital,
magazine.
Yeah. I don't know if I want to call it a magazine right now. Maybe like a handbook for 2024. It's going to have everything, even though it's not a handbook. It's digital form. But this is going to have everything. It's going to have rankings. It's going to have FYPD information. It's going to have articles that are going to be exclusive. We partnered with Pars List, and we're going to use their some of their writers as well, and some of their rankings. This is going to have everything that you need to know going into the next season from a formulated perspective. And probably a good measure of scouting in there too. We'll see what we can drum up, but really excited. That's going to be a big deal. I think we're also going to sell that standalone. So like, if you're not a member and that, having something that you're subscribed to doesn't appeal to you, you can buy this as like a one-off sort of thing too. So it's a little bit different offering. We haven't had anything like that before, but that's really cool. And then of course, ranking season, me and you, man, and you.
Ranking season is going to be huge, and I'm going to throw out a little bit of a tidbit right now, because once again, I am free. I'm always free. That is what I do. Yes, we have a membership program for STS. This stuff right here, the podcast, I would like to keep it free. So for ranking season, me and my boy Ross, hopefully we have some people jumping on with us.
Are you trying to?
Did you not hear me?
I did not hear you.
It's all gonna be
It's
free.
all going to be free. Yes. Yeah, absolutely. And I've also started that little digital series, next big thing, which is kind of a riff on our player evals that we've done. So there's that too. I'm going to try to push out at least some of those. And these things are going to be a part of that handbook too. Like we're going to put in videos where applicable. We're going to put in player um, analysis videos on there as well. So you might get a blurb on a player and then a video about us talking about them too. So we're going to hit this thing hard. It's going to be awesome.
Yeah.
And there's also some other stuff on the back end too, and I don't want to dwell on this because it doesn't matter much to everybody else out there, but it's important to us internally. Automation, huge. There's a couple areas that are really big. One, the leaderboards, we have to get those automated. We just absolutely have to. And then the second one is going to be like our payment processing. It's abominable. And I'm sorry for anyone that's had to wait like 6 hours for me to get back to them because I was sleeping or whatever it was. So sincere apologies for anything like that, but we're going to fix that. Hopefully, these things aren't easy to do. Might require a site redesign or something. We'll figure it out.
Cool.
Yeah.
So once again, guys, ranking season is going to be massive, and we are going to be here talking top tens. I don't want to say top 25s, but man, I would not be surprised if we do it because that's the psychopaths that we are. I know fully position by position we will do top tens and talk about each and every single one of them.
Yep.
So just like last off season, top 10 catchers. Every single one of them we'll talk about, whether it be a full video on one or just a top 10 overall. A little bit easier to talk about outfielders than it is about catchers. I'll be completely honest with you. You guys know that. But yeah, ranking season is going to be huge. We're going to be very busy. Hope to give you thousands of hours of content, and me and Ross will be right here with you.
Yeah, and that's the incredible thing. Like the season's over, but it's not over for us, man.
We're just starting. We're in 2024 right now.
Yep. Yep. And you know my philosophy. Dynasties are built in the off season.
Absolutely.
This is when you need to be planning, you need to be strategizing. If you can trade, you need to be trading, Get your shit done now, next season.
Yep. This is the point right now that people aren't excited to hold on to players. Once you start getting into the minor leagues and stuff like that, and your favorite prospects batting 400 on another team, they're not trading that guy. Right now is where they're like, I'd probably trade Jet Williams. That's fine. When he's batting 400 next year, you're not getting him.
Yeah. Jet Williams is a really good example, and we're going to have a lot of players like this because leading up to 2024 season, the major outlets do a refresher. I mean, a wholesale re-ranking usually, and that's when you see a lot of movement. And guess what? We already know which guys are going to be quite a bit higher. We don't know exactly where they're going to be, but if you have that advantage, why not exploit it right now? Because your average fantasy player they're not attuned to that.
Yeah. November, December, and January that are coming up right behind us. This is where you need to be locked into STS because you're going to start getting content of things that are going to happen in 4 months. You need to be locked in right now because it's coming at you and it's coming at you hard.
That handbook is going to be so cool.
Yeah, dude.
I will not sleep until it's perfect. That's kind of my approach on that. So,
yeah, agreed. With that, we do have some I guess you want to call it minor league. The Arizona Fall League. Arizona Fall League's coming up. Okay. And we're going to see some really high profile players playing in the Arizona Fall League, the AFL, as most would like to call it. So, do you want to run through the whole AFL? Do you want to do snippets? How do you want to play this, Ross?
Well, I'm open to whatever you think is best, but maybe we should do a
Yeah,
rundown of the rosters and then just hit up
yeah.
some.
So I'll do a rundown of the top 100 guys that are playing in the AFL right now, and these are based off of MLB's pipeline 1 through 100. These are the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 guys that are in the top 100 that will be in the AFL. Number 17, and please jump in if you want to say something about somebody, or you let me run through the list and we'll get the names out there. But number 17 on the top 100 prospect, Colson Montgomery from the White Sox. He'll be playing in Glendale. Carson Williams from the Rays. He's number 19. He'll be playing in Peoria. Number 31, Ricky Tiedemann, left-handed pitcher for the Blue Jays. He'll be playing in Surprise. Harry
This guy's
Ford.
underrated, dude.
Yeah, dude. Oh, it gets more underrated as I run through the list.
All right, keep going.
In my opinion.
Yeah.
We're gonna hit on one guy that you're gonna be like, huh? Anyways, Harry Ford, catcher for the Mariners. He's playing in Peoria. Jackson Jobe. Oh yeah, Harry Ford was number 39. Number 54, Jackson Jobe, right-handed pitcher for the Tigers. He's going to play in Salt River. A really big favorite of mine. I am going to be very high on Jackson Jobe in the offseason. Let's just throw that out there. Kyle Manzardo, number 58, first baseman for the Guardians. He's going to be playing in Peoria.
I think we're going to see a bounce back from Manzardo.
I think that's going to be a big.
And next season for sure. So this is in my opinion, needs to go get him. Rough season though.
Yeah, and I don't know if that was a transition from. Okay, let's dive into it. I don't know if that was a transition from getting traded, but he was off before that, or if we could have had a nagging injury, something. But this year seemed to be really just off for Manzardo, and I think he's going to blow up.
The word on the street is that his mom needed a heart transplant.
Huge issue, right?
Yeah, so he was dealing with a family crisis all season, you know.
Yeah.
To me, the underlying numbers still look pretty good. So I'm kind of chalking it up to the focus maybe wasn't quite there. It wasn't quite tip top. And he was out for a little while and he came back and he was mashing at the end of the season in the playoffs for his crew. So I'm still hanging on. I'm still team Manzardo, man.
I agree with you. And I think as fantasy baseball players like we all are, we don't care about what's going on behind the scenes, but it's very easy to find a reason why somebody could be slumping, and you still need to be high on them. Hopefully we can be there for you to tell you that no, we're still high on this guy. You gotta hold. Manzardo's one of those people. The next one is another person that I'm very high on that just had a bad season. And I don't have any reason for it, like Manzardo, like you mentioned about his mother or anything like that. But number 67, Jace Jung for the Tigers, second baseman.
Oh, yeah.
Is playing for Salt River. He did not have a good season. And I thought the world of him in the offseason. I'm still there. And I still think he's going to be that guy. I don't have any underlying things. Maybe it's because his brother got hurt.
Well, he was heating up in the second half, so I'm with you. Yeah. I think this is a pretty good play too.
Yep. 71, Kevin Alcantara, outfielder for the Cubs. He's going to play for Mesa. Chase DeLautner. We're going to see Chase DeLautner play for the first time. Did he get any at bats this season? He
Oh
did
yeah.
at the very beginning of the year, yeah, and then broke his foot again.
Well, yeah, and then he came back. He's been playing.
Okay, I apologize. Number
I think he was
85,
batting
Chase.
like last I saw, he was batting like 350 or something like that. He's
I'm a big fan of Chase DeLautner. I think he's going to be really good. I missed the updates there, but number 85, Chase DeLautner, outfield for the Guardians. He's going to play for Peoria. Peoria looks like they're stacked. Um, Evan Parada, catcher for the Mets. He's going to play for Glendale. So there's your top 100, but there's a lot of other guys that we're going to talk about. I should have said that the first time that I said it, that we're going to care about more than the MLB's top 100 prospect list, because our list goes a hell of a lot deeper than 100.
Yep.
Like we have go get 'ems
We have every single
at 300.
prospect. Yeah.
Well, yeah, not just that, but we have go get 'ems in the 300s.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
You know, guys that are ranked at 230 that were like, go get this guy.
Yeah.
Just
Agreed.
saying.
Agreed. Chase Delotto, let me read this because he got 242 plate appearances, so he actually got a decent season. Let me read his slash line for you: 355, 417 OBP, and a 528 slugging percentage.
Yeah, that guy's incredible.
Sounds like a go get him to me.
He's not number 85. I know that.
I think I have him around the 50 range myself, so maybe I'm too low on him too. But the health factor is something, and it's a part of it. So
yeah, and that's my fault for drop. He was still at a very high standard for me. I quit looking because he kept getting hurt, but he just wasn't hurt as long as I thought he was. So that's why I kept not looking. And that's on me. I would have figured that in off-season rankings, which we'll get to you
soon enough.
Yeah, soon enough. Let me run through let me run through it here real quick. We talked about Tideman. Is there anybody in the AFL that you really want to hit on?
Let's see. I mean, what's your take on Carson Williams?
It's a big deal. He's much higher on bigger publications than I thought he would be.
Yeah.
And matter of fact, I think he'd be lower on my list than the higher publications, which I'm curious about.
He's got a real nice stroke. It's an interesting one because he strikes out a lot.
Yeah.
He's got some pretty good power. And I think I like him. The age level factors are really, really good, but he strikes out a lot. Like there's risk there,
Yeah.
Some other guys, they got Brainer Benassi.
I was just going to say him.
Yeah. Nathan Hickey. He's out there playing.
Brian Mata. I like Brian Mata a lot too.
Yeah.
There's 3 Red Sox for you right there: Brainer Benassi, Nathan Hickey, and Brian Mata that I'm very high on.
Let's see. Hao Yu Lee. I know you like that.
Tigers, baby.
He's out there. Zach Fiend, what's your pulse on Zach Fiend these days? Are we starting to fade Zach Fiend?
This is another one. So, and I'm very vocal about what the Colorado Rockies do. And I'm just I leave them alone as much as I possibly can because they just seem to ruin careers. Now, as soon as they get traded, I'm all over them. Veen's another one. I want Veen to succeed. I want everybody to succeed, but Veen is another one that I want to succeed. And he has every potential in the world to do it, but he's with the Rockies, and I won't touch him.
Yeah. Okay, so here's one. Brian Ramos. And Brian Ramos, and I want to take a second to talk about Brian Ramos because he's a guy a couple of years ago. he was kind of popping up for me. I was interested in him, and he kind of lost some of that luster. But I got to give a shout out to my Twitter bud at Bryce Snape, who is constantly repping Brian Ramos. He is convinced Brian Ramos is the next big thing. So, and he's like, every time Brian Ramos does something to me, he's sending it my way. He's making sure I'm seeing it, you know. He's just waiting for me to write an article about Brian Ramos. I've resisted, but I gotta take a second out of the podcast to say Brian Ramos, he has a chance to really see his star rise this AFL.
Nice. I like it. No, good shout out. We appreciate those little comments.
Yeah.
Nothing is ever lost in the shuffle. Please keep sending the comments.
Yep.
I want to talk about Aaron Sabato for the Rockies as well, or for the Twins as well. I don't have a lot of good things to say about him. He had a rough year, but I'm still high on Aaron Sabato.
I don't know that I'm terribly high on him, but it's interesting.
Yeah.
Who else you got? Anyone else piquing your interest? Tyler
I think Harry Ford's going to be a very big topic in this offseason.
He's an interesting one. Eric Cross has him as his number one catcher, and I'm not sure that
might not be wrong.
Well, he's really good, and he's got a lot of the characteristics that I really like in a player too. To me, when you've got a guy like you got Ethan Salas out there, and then you got Samuel Basayo, excuse me, you got Basayo out there. I mean, I could see the case if you were like, I'm not buying the age level hype with Ethan Salas. I can see that and being like, I'm not buying that hype. I'm putting Ford above him. But the Basayo one I asked him a question about that because that was what I was really curious about is like, well, what's the case for Ford above Basayo? Because Basayo has a lot of similarly good plate approach, clearly has more power. He's younger, doing it at higher levels. So just kind of curious what the take was on that. He gave me a pretty solid explanation. So not questioning it, but well, I mean, I shouldn't say I'm not questioning it. I have my own opinion on it, but I understand his position.
For sure. Okay. I get that.
I do agree. We could see something special from him. He's a special player. He's going to be a really good catcher.
Another guy that I'm really excited to start seeing to grow that it just hasn't hit on a lot of marks that everybody's expecting. Jacob Berry.
Yeah. Oh.
I think Jacob Berry's got a lot to prove.
Yes, he does.
A lot to prove, but we were all in on Jacob Berry, right?
Yeah, and he was one of the top picks in the draft, so it wasn't just us.
Yeah, we were all in on Jacob Berry, and so we got to start seeing some growth there, and we can make a decision in the Arizona Fall League. Another one that we can make a decision on that I'm very high on. I know you've never been very high on him, but Robert Hassel III.
Oh yeah, your boy.
Yeah, he's my boy. Go get him, Robert. Bobby, go get him.
Go get it. He's got something to prove right now too.
Yeah, he does. These are big off season for those two guys. Anybody else that you're looking at?
Abby Malek Ortiz, just a guy I like, and I'd be interested in seeing how he performs there.
Sure.
What's your take on Kevin Parada? I've had people saying like this guy should be like top of the top as far as fantasy catcher rankings. I just don't see that in the numbers.
I think catcher's very, very hard to really look at. I mean, a clubhouse knows a lot more about a catcher than we ever are going to know, right? Yeah, like we. Yeah, we're not going to see the behind the scenes. Yeah, he can run a picture and frame everything well. Fantasy wise, I don't know.
Yeah.
I like you said, I don't see it in the numbers, but he's very, very high on everybody's list.
Now I'm scrolling through this to see if there's anyone. I got a couple guys here. Ivan Melendez,
Sure.
a masher, but can he do it at the major league level? Remains to be seen. Your boy, AJ Vukovic.
I didn't want to say it. I didn't want to say it, and I'm so happy that you said it. Man, AJ Vukovic is awesome.
Yeah, we had to talk about that guy.
Strikeout concerns are through the roof. Through the roof. Like I always talk about the guys are going to the moon. We're blowing past the moon. We're going straight to Mars. That's his strikeout percentage.
Yeah.
Quit striking out.
Yeah, it's that easy. Come on. Okay. Two more guys from the Padres, or three more guys from the Padres I'd like to mention. Nathan Martorella and Graham Pauley, both interesting plate first sort of approaches. And our guy, Jacob Marcy. We talked about him recently, didn't we?
Talk about a rocket ship, dude. And nobody's tied. And we've heard it on the Discord. We've heard it in different channels.
Yeah.
We talked about Marcy months ago. That guy needs to be talked about right now.
And that was you. You were the big one bringing him to attention. And I remember as we were talking through that, I was kind of like, man, I'm really interested in this guy. I just want to dive a little bit deeper. I want to try to acquire this guy in in some leagues. He's maybe a spec play, but a safe one. I don't know. Like just an interesting profile. Speed, pretty good power, really good plate skills. Like I don't know. Those are the things you want.
He's one of those guys that are slipping beneath the cracks. That I don't know. I don't know why nobody's talking about him. His age was a little bit higher for his level, I believe.
Yeah, he's 22, but he did reach Double A. So I mean,
he got there. Yep.
I mean, this AFL can it can totally change his trajectory.
Yeah. And the guy that we talked about with Marcy in the same podcast was a Marion Boyd. Is he going to the AFL? I believe he played for the White Sox.
Phillies.
Oh, it was the Phillies. Is he going to the AFL?
I don't know. Let's check it out.
He's a Marion Boyd. I don't see it. Oh, he was hurt. Yeah, he got hurt. He's not on their list.
Yeah, I don't see him on there.
Because if I almost hold those two in the same category, Marcy and a Marion Boyd, very excited about those two. That nobody is talking about. You guys need to jump on them right now.
Yeah. If you have to take one, who are you taking?
At this point, it's probably Marcy.
Me too. Yep.
Yeah.
Agreed.
I think he's showing just a little bit more. But Boyd, I'm very excited for Boyd. But yeah, I mean, we could really jump into the AFL rosters, but those are kind of the highlights that I'm looking at. Do you see anybody else? Drew Romo for the Rockies. I'm kind of excited to see what happens there.
Yeah. I don't know if I have anyone in particular. I think I kind of scrolled through them all. So yeah, really excited to see how these guys do, though.
Yeah, for sure. But yeah, I mean, other than that, I'm really excited for what we got coming up for the off season. We're going to pop in here. We're going to talk about playoffs. But I'd love to pop in and talk about some AFL rosters, see how they're really rocking and rolling. And then, man, we're going to be right into it. We're going to be right into ranking season.
What about a shout out to Evan Carter, the scout, the stat line darling, and he's been on fire.
Hey,
He's been on fire in the playoffs.
that that's on you, man. He's your guy.
He's my boy. Oh.
Yeah, Evan Carter breaking hearts in Tampa Bay right now.
Yeah, Evan Carter, he's looking like legit. I had somebody reach out and ask me, should I, like, is this a sell high moment? And I was like, no, not in my opinion. My opinion, this is a hold moment, unless you're getting like an absurd offer. You always entertain it if it's like something absurd. But yeah, this is a hold. He's proven him. He's proven his chops in the major leagues. That's exactly what you want.
I'll give you just a question for the top of Ross's head, and it doesn't need to be a cemented answer or anything like that. To round off the podcast here, who would you rather have as a Ranger, Young or Carter?
Long term, I'd rather have Carter.
Man, you were crazy.
But I know you really liked Young. I had Carter ranked above Young this preseason, I think. But I was very high on Carter. I've always been very high on Carter.
And we've had some conversations about that. I was higher on Young,
Yeah.
but I was really high on Young.
He was your rookie of the year pick, and you know what? For a while, it looked like he was going to be the guy.
If he wouldn't have got hurt, I think he would have got there.
Well, and Gunnar like turned it on too. I mean, there's a couple factors at play there.
Yeah,
what were my picks? I think I might have picked Gunnar and Carroll, but that was just being cheap and picking
the easy ones.
Oh, I don't think I did pick Gunnar. I might have picked somebody else, a surprise or something.
Yeah, we're never wrong. It's fine. Whoever won it, that's who we picked. With that, guys, that's our podcast for the evening. I look forward to talking to all of you again. And we got a lot of exciting stuff coming up. Ross, do you have anything to chime into before we sign off for the night?
I don't think so. It's been fun, man, as always.
Yeah, absolutely. Scoutliners, statliners, whatever I'm going to call you. You enjoy your evening. It's a pleasure to be here with you. We'll talk to you again soon.